Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on ACTN. I'm Steve David, I'm your host. Today I want to talk about our men's national football team that just came back from the showing of the Gold Cup. And I have with me my panel that will help me break it down and get you viewers in tune to what happened. Jefferson George, welcome to the set.
Thank you, Steve. Always a pleasure to be here.
I know. And Anthony Clark, welcome to the set.
Good morning. Right, good evening, Steve. Always a pleasure to be here as well.
Great to have you too. I hope you guys looked at the game or the games. And some people are happy, some people are sad, some people are excited. I mean, it's a combination of feelings. And I want us to talk about what we thought and what they did wrong, what they do right, what could have been done better, whatever, so we can have a good discussion on the actual performance of the team. And hopefully, we're in a step in the right direction. So, as usual, Jeff, you like to start it off. I'll let you do that.
No problem. I'd open the batting on this one, although it's football we're talking about.
Open innings, yeah.
As you said, the reviews, based on where you look or listen, it's sort of a mixed bag. But for me, I thought, firstly, mission was accomplished because Angus got the job, and the job was to get us into the group phase of the Gold Cup, right? Where we had two qualifying games or preliminary games of the Gold Cup, having this slightly new format. And I thought that was achieved, right? Ultimately, that was his goal. He did that, and I think he also gave himself a bit of credit, a bonus, if you will, based on how he was able to organize the teams against better opposition, right? So that's my view on it. I mean, we're going to pick it apart as we go on in the show.
What do you think, Arky?
I'm very impressed. Right, what people don't understand is that we drew against Mexico. We lost against El Salvador, and we drew against Guatemala. That ratio in terms of the World Cup qualification performances versus the performances to qualify for the final stage of the Gold Cup, as well as the performances during the Gold Cup, were far and wide apart. So you saw difference in coaching strategy. You saw a difference in team selection, player selection. You saw, even in the El Salvador game, you saw that it started in a certain way, kind of defensive, and you saw the tactics of the coach change the game exponentially in our favor in the second half, although we lost. Still, I am looking at how we played rather than the result, because this is a rebuilding process. And the fans out there need to understand that we are rebuilding our football. I don't expect to qualify for a World Cup for the next 2 World Cups. I think, as I have said many times on this program, that we have to start from the youth and prepare a team for that World Cup. So yes, I give praises to Angus. I always knew Angus was one of the better coaches, local coaches in the country. He has showed that in his college league coaching, in his professional league coaching, and I think he deserved a chance. I think there are only 2 people, as I mentioned, could qualify, for that national coaching job, which is Angus Eve and Stuart Charles. I would like to see Stuarty
part of the coaching staff?
Coaching, no. Dealing with the youths.
Okay.
Getting the youths done. I would love to see Angus remain there. And the other coach, Stuart Charles, I think he should be dealing with the under-15s, then move them up to the under-17s and move with them so that you get a team that is accustomed to the style of play. I think he and Angus should, as well as the technical director, Tion Lafourcade, should speak about strategy and ensuring that the team comes up with a system that they know how to play. Is it Switzerland that, I think it was Switzerland that did very well in the Euros, right?
Yeah.
That team had approximately 8 or 9 players from the under-16 team that came forward with that team. So the senior team now, although they are aged, they were a team that moved together. The nucleus of the team moved together from youth development, going straight up to senior football.
You see how he knocked you off at being the under-15 coach there, Jeff?
Yeah.
He took you clean out and he brought in Stuart Charles.
You know,
yeah, but that's okay.
It's okay, of course, because you know we have different ideas, and I think what we need to come up with is persons from all different views, putting the ideas in together and having the ability to pick from that the best. And I think that's what is going to provide us with probably the best way forward.
All right, but I don't want us to talk about all these things now. Let's get back to the Gold Cup. First game, Mexico. Let's break that down and see how we can, if we like what we saw, and what we think was our weakness or our strength in that game, Mexico game.
All right, the Mexico game, for me, I think, is where Angus would have really, distinguished himself as being part of a conversation that he can take the national senior team into international competition. One thing, even on this program, I would have mentioned is, as a coach, his pragmatic view on football. There are persons who believe that, we should play this way, right, or we should play that way, and that is how we should play all the time. I disagree with that philosophy, particularly being a small country like Trinidad and Tobago. We should have a coach that is able to adapt to the different type of opposition in terms of their level, in terms of where they are, and be able to develop a strategy for us to get results. Right now, stepping onto the field against Mexico, many people believe that we probably didn't deserve to be on the same field with Mexico, who defeated Nigeria 4-0 just 6 or 7 days prior to that tournament. Now, when I looked at the setup, of course, having discussion with different coaches and so on, I'm glad I didn't speak to Angus at that time, because when I looked at the team, it was the same setup and personnel, right, that he would have called. One of the major changes in that game had a great influence on it, was going with Marvin, right? And again, it could have been controversial because, Fenderup had a decent tournament. He saved a penalty to get us there. Although there were some deficiencies that were visible, he did, creditably in the 2 games to get us there. But I think going with Marvin to add his experience and his ability to communicate to a defense, which he added Baka to, who is probably the best person dealing with air balls and balls from his side of the field, right? And also his interceptions. Although he is slow, but again, using the strategy of playing a low block that would minimize any threat of, being exploited by going behind him. So I thought Angus' setup was really, really good. The tactics worked, and I think most significantly for me in that game, because I always knew that Angus would be able to set up a team, but was the commitment of the players to carry out that strategy. I think they were excellent. The players, deserve real credit for staying, on script, and they did it for 90 minutes in that game.
Okay. Yeah.
I agree with the strategy used. You have to know where you are at any point in time in your development. And it wasn't a game that we could have gone at Mexico manus manus. So he used that strategy to get a result out of it. Getting that result out of it, that is why I was disappointed with the El Salvador game. But, right, we'll reach to the El Salvador game, right? The result of the El Salvador game. Although I agree with Jeff that you have to know where you are, I think we should strive to also reach a place where the opposition has to worry about us rather than we worrying about the opposition. And to do that, I've always found fault in the Trinidad and Tobago administration in terms of not giving our national team enough international exposure. To improve, you need to play the best. We cannot continue playing the Grenadiers, the Barbados, and just staying right here. We have to go out and get 10 from Italy, if so be it, by playing an open game and trying our strategies. We have to go and play the United States and Mexico more. We have to play the Nigerias. We have to play the Swedens. And that is how your standard of the game and the player knowledge of what international football is like would improve. So I hope that yes, we had a good performance here, but we would not improve if we continue to stay in our region, in terms of the Caribbean region, and taking practice games here. We have to go to the Colombias, we have to go to the Brazils, we have to go to the to Paraguay and even Venezuela to understand, to get competition against that style of football. And then go to Europe to understand, to get that style of football. Go to Asia, understand that style of football. And in the interim, we will be, right, we may lose all those matches, but that is the only way we're going to improve. So the Mexico game, I have to agree with Jeff, he understood where his team was at that point in time in the development. Remember, Angus only had the team 2 weeks prior going into the qualification stage. That's 2 weeks. That is no time at all for a coach.
Yeah, well, he got the job 2 weeks before, but he actually started
that's right.
with the
he didn't
team,
get the
5
team
days.
to start. So, right, you could actually say it was,
Yeah,
right,
5 days in camp. 5 days.
5 days in camp is when he had the team.
Yeah. Then he left.
Well, I think the strategy was good, but I mean, we sit back, we absorb, and we didn't try to do nothing but just make sure we.
No, we actually got 2 chances, and that's why I was going.
Okay, good.
Again,
Take it.
we actually got 2 very good, very good scoring opportunities. And if we score those opportunities like finish clinically, right, Mexico would have been under pressure with our block. And that a sort of game, you have a block, you get 2 breakaways, you put it in the back of the net, it frustrates Mexico more. So if we had scored those opportunities, I understand that they had 10, right, and Marvin did a very, very good job. But at the end of the day, we did not get a goal scored against us. So just imagine if we had scored one of those goals and come back to our block and Marvin, right, continued with the magical performance. That is what I have to say. That is a magical performance.
I hate to take you back into the big times, but when you score, we usually say you raise the Jep nest.
Yeah.
Understood.
So we might have got 10.
Understood, but I'm saying that.
So take what we got.
Yeah, but and I agree with that. However, I'm saying that in games like that, where you only get 1 or 2 chances,
you have to
put it back in the net. Yeah. You have to put it in the back of the net, because
for the strategy we play.
Right, for the strategy to work. Right. Yes, you are defending well. You get 1 or 2 chances. You have to put them in the back of the net. What the end result would be after that, so be it. But you got 2 very, very good chances. I think we hit the bar at one point in time as well.
In the that was the
Yes, we hit the bar as well. So
Yeah.
if we ride with that type of strategy, you get your breakaway, put that ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think for as we said on the Mexico game, one of the things, and again we mentioned all the good things, and for us, the performance was unlike anything we've seen in quite some time in terms of the discipline of the team and so on like that, and organization. What I thought we could have done better throughout the tournament, and in this case, when you're playing a low block, you don't have much time on the ball and things like that, and that is what it calls for the concentration and the discipline. However, the use of set pieces when you're playing like that is very, very important to create goal scoring opportunities. Even if you have a free kick, midway in the opposing half, you have to use that free kick to get into, the goal scoring range. And I think I understand, Steve, because when you look at football now, you probably say, "Nah, we could do better than that." But the reality is, when you look at the players that we have, you look at the level of exposure, what they would have been through. We add to that the layer with the pandemic. In that first game, you had 8 players who played locally. Those players who played locally, obviously, they are not playing any competitive games, all right?
And we have to take that into consideration of the
closing in
performance.
on 2 years since these boys would have played competitively. Now, that is why I'm saying, so when you have opportunities, even throw-ins, right, you then have to make that offensive plays, right, because you have a chance to advance the line up the field, and then you serve the ball from a more advanced position. So that is something that I thought, we could have made more out of, right, to create goal scoring opportunities off these set pieces.
Well, I think we missed in 2 very important pieces for our team, in a goal scorer and a midfield,
Yes.
a creative midfielder, because you have to have these kind of players in any team to make it work, man. Football is a team game, but you have to have special guys.
And that is what I was going
to
to go into in the El Salvador and the Guatemala game.
Okay, so as you say that, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will get into the second game.
1 minute.
Viewers will be right back after the short break.
We are a country of 1.3 million people, all right? I don't believe that these players can be created, right? God blesses us with these players.
Right.
Messi is the Ronaldo's, Latifi. I mean, I think sometimes we take it for granted that, we can make that. We can't.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Okay, before the break, I was saying that we know football is a team game, but in every team there is 2 or 3 special players that when the going gets rough, they get going. They make things happen and try to disrupt the opponent. So, and now, Clark, you said that's why I wanted to talk about the El Salvador game. So I'll give you the opportunity.
Yeah, in the El Salvador game, right in the Mexico game, the strategy was really to defend, ensure that we don't get any goals against us,
Right.
and try and bring home a point. In the El Salvador game, I thought that we would have started with a way more attacking team to go at El Salvador to get a result. And I realized that there were no special players. We are passing the ball around. Sometimes we are even in the attacking half of the field, right? The middle of the park, but attacking half of the field, over the half line. And we go straight back to the sweeper, even though one person is approaching us. And I didn't see that right, a defender is approaching the person with the ball. And I didn't see that ability to try to even get past that defender. I didn't see the triangles coming close to ensure that you have passes to get around that defender. I didn't see the formation of having our wing backs flowing as overlapping wing backs. All this is not going against Angus, right? As I mentioned, Angus is he was an attacking player. He has lots of flair. You have seen those things that I'm speaking about in the teams that he has coached before. So I'm saying that these are the improvements that will come because I know, right, Angus's style of coaching. So, but we are speaking about the individuality of players now, right? Because at the end of the day, the players are on the pitch. And if you reach that national level, you must know one of the basics of football is triangles. You have to form triangles almost every part of the park. And I didn't see the players' intellect. Maybe it was fitness, I don't know. I'm not on the players either. I'm just saying the attempt to ensure that we have these triangles and to get past players, especially when we are in the attacking part of the field, I was not seeing that. So there's also no special player. The guy with the big hair, Hackshaw. He's a wonderful holding midfielder, right? But he is not the latter P. He is not the Sherwood, right? I saw that they tried to play Molino in that position. I don't think that, he fit into that role well. I know he is also just coming off an injury as well. So, but in the El Salvador game, the first goal came from a bad pass by Molino just on the half line, right? And with a Molino's skill, I don't feel that he should have made that error, right? That's where the first goal came from. And it was so simple. The guy was in front of him. It was a block. He could not go through him. He has to get around or use his skill to create better opportunities. So we don't have that special player. We no longer have a Russell Latapi. We no longer have Anthony Sherwood. Right? Those players are gone, and we have to try to produce those players again.
All right. Good points. And I have a different view on it. I know, Steve, you also mentioned about having these, 2 or 3, what do you call them? Special players. I think we are a country of 1.3 million people. All right. I don't believe that these players can be created. All right. God blesses us with these players. Right. Messi is the Ronaldo's, Latapi. I mean, I think sometimes we take it for granted that we can make that. We can't. Right. I've been coaching for quite some time, and a lot of times you hear people going back to your Tony Sherwoods. Yes, coaches had influence on them and helped to sort of harness their creative abilities. Dwight York, right? These players are gifts, right? We are going to get some of them, probably every other generation or so, but that doesn't mean to say that we cannot play good football, right? If you look at teams like Iceland and some of the European teams, Denmark, right? I mean, yes, there are players who you see play in their leagues and stuff, but nobody is way ahead in terms of the abilities of the rest of the team. What they are or what they have is good technical abilities. They're not losing possession of the ball. Clarky mentioned their game intelligence, right? And if we don't have the latter piece, you don't have the Dwight York, but you have players with good technical ability, players who use their intelligence, people who dribble in the right positions on the field, right? People who minimize errors, you are able to get good results. Now, at this point in time, what compounded that was you're coming out of a situation where a lot of the players didn't have match position, didn't have match fitness, right? Match games under their belt. Persons are going to probably argue then, well, why not select players who probably would have had more experience to go into the tournament? Now, there are two obvious reasons for that. One, a lot of players weren't released by their clubs or made available for the Gold Cup. And secondly, again, the coach, in his mind, thinking about players who would, one, have the discipline to carry out the function that he will ask them to, all right? And then players who are able to do, what he asked them to. And in the El Salvador game, that for me was always going to be our most difficult game. Because one, you went into the Mexico game and overachieved. You got a point when most persons would have thought, even if we played well, you lose 2-1, you lose 1-0, that type of thing. So then you're going into El Salvador, and off the bat, you're then asked to play a little bit more open. You're asked to run a little bit more. Remember, this has been the fourth game that these guys are playing in under 2 weeks, right? A team who's already short on fitness, right? Fitness. And he made some adjustments to try to manage the expenditure of some of the players. People like Marcus didn't play at all in the Mexico game, right? So we would have had them available to probably mount a more offensive threat in the El Salvador game. But again, understanding the type of players that you have, and Clarky mentioned it right there, one of the risks with trying to play a possession game is losing the ball, right? People like Jose Mourinho, and when they go into building squads, they look at players who don't turn it over because they place value on possession of the ball. Secondly, they don't want to possess the ball in their half. If you lose the ball in your half, you are under direct threat of conceding, right? So the picture or the idea of what most of us have as playing good football with people keeping the ball, combination plays to play the ball out of the back. For our team, that actually is a risk of conceding, because if you give up the ball, as we saw in the El Salvador game, anywhere on the back of that circle, it's a direct goal threat. So in terms of how we were able to manage that, because in the El Salvador game, we were still able to create some chances. We were still able to stay in the game. We got a goal very late, right? And along with the goal that we conceded in the middle of the game. But I thought the strategy, one, was good for us. It could have been executed a lot better. We could have been a lot more compact, because that was one of the things that we weren't able to carry over from the Mexico game into the El Salvador game. Although we were playing a little bit more on the front foot, we suffered a little bit defensively. And again, remember, you were asking the players now to do the both. In the Mexico game, the objective was clear. We were going to sit deep, we were going to play tight, stay compact, which we did all game long. But now, when you are asked to, mount attacks, go over into the other team's half looking for goal-scoring opportunities, that obviously leaves you a little bit open and exposed at the back. And if we don't have the legs, the gas to recover, then you're vulnerable.
You kind of hit the nail on the head there, because that El Salvador game, I thought they looked very confused in the first half, whether we attack or we defend. They wasn't sure, so we didn't have much going at all. And then it looked like maybe Angus said after, hey, you guys go and get something, and they came out to play. But maybe that is when they open up themselves as well to get a goal or two. So you never know.
I always believe that coaches should, and again, I'll put this caveat. Angus only had the team a couple of days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days before. And I know that his style of football is going to improve. But I think that at times you have to take a risk to see what is there. I think that he didn't start his best team on that day in terms of the attacking team. The Joseph boy, right, Lobo, right, didn't start. He made a complete difference in the game. I think he could have taken a little more risk in terms of, let me go out for these 3 points, instead of being still very conservative. And I think there are times that you could say, listen, I'm going to get these 3 points. If he got those 3 points, because that was the key game, Guatemala just came in as a substitute, and more than likely, that's my last game. So if I get these 3 points in the middle here after getting the 1 point from Mexico, and I found that in terms of what could have been improved from coaching standpoint as well as player standpoint, I think that he could have decided to go from the start of the game to get these 3 points. In terms of speaking about a special player, Jeff, we're not saying that we can't play good football if we don't have that special player. Steve just asked about that special player. And to speak about that, I also will speak about the way we now choose our right players. We no longer go to the Miaros, right, to scout for players. We no longer go to the Point Fortins to scout for players. We are only picking people that are on the Pro League right forum. Right, you don't see somebody from a club team, right, like this boy from England who plays for Leeds. He doesn't play for one of the big teams, I can't remember his name. He's from Leeds, Leeds United. But he controlled the midfield for England. And we no longer do that. We no longer go out to the rural areas. Right, and scout for players. We no longer have leagues in those areas. And that is why, maybe, you're not finding that special player, right? Keeping possession without purpose is negative. So just passing the ball around, back, and all around without a particular plan of attack makes no sense. So it might look like good football because everybody else passing it, but they have a plan of attack that they're trying to open up the right side or open up the left side, pull players this way by passing this way, hit, and therefore they have a plan of attack. So possession without a plan of attack to say, well, this is my strategy. Keep it in the back for a little bit. Somebody from midfield comes, you take one bounce, but you bring a defender with you where you open up space in the back. That is strategy in terms of keeping possession. And I found that when it is that, right, at times and most times in the game, when we were in the attacking position, the ball went back for no particular reason. And you saw then that there was no actual plan of attack. Sometimes you hit a ball into midfield to draw the defender, and the wing back at that time is overlapping. So when he knocks it back to you, right, you can hit a ball over. So I'm speaking about, yes, it looked good, but what was the purpose of the possession? You must have purpose to possession.
Well, in terms of possession, we didn't really look good, right? There were probably 2 of the games where we had good spells of possession. And that's why I'm saying it's not about, we cannot, you can tell what the tactics were, right? But then there's another layer to that in terms of the execution on the offensive side.
I didn't know the tactics in the El Salvador game. I honestly didn't know the tactics. I didn't see the tactics in terms of the plan. I saw a structured team that, trying not to lose possession, but I didn't see a plan of attack.
I saw, right, the tactics in it, right? Again,
which one?
Meaning they were playing conservative, trying to play, they played a higher line, right? And they were going to play right, a little bit on the counter-attack. Now, the problem with the execution now is when in possession of the ball, you can have a plan or a tactic, but the player needs to have the technical abilities to do that. And a lot of the times, the choice of the player playing back is because that is the pass that he knows he can complete. And that is why we're lacking that bit of quality, right, in all areas in possession of the ball. Because if you look at our unforced errors, I mean a player in possession of the ball and making a bad pass without pressure, right, turning over possession of the ball.
I have to disagree with you there, because it's not that he can, that's a pass that he knows that he could complete. I was not seeing the triangles, the support for him to have more opportunity. So that was the only opportunity that he had to make the pass. Because the players in the attacking line did not come to the right wing players to give him options.
Right.
Also, in terms of the energy of the players, I understand match fitness and fitness, right? If you look at the El Salvador teams and the Guatemala teams and even the Mexico team, the energy of the players and the movement of the ball, the work needed to make that run, that although you know that you may not get the pass, but you are making that run to create an opportunity for another. I didn't see that sacrificial work from our team. And I could understand that may have been because of fitness.
Not just fitness to it, that is the reason why you're not going to get that. The coach, we talked about being a little bit more, taking more risk. That happens when a coach is able to go out, have some practice games, have some training games, and know what the responses of his team will be to different situations. Angus didn't have that.
But that's what the Gold Cup was. No, I didn't think that Angus was going to win the Gold Cup.
We know that, but again, in analyzing the games, you're saying you didn't see the tactics, and I'm saying I saw what he was attempting to do by looking at the games. And from that, there were deficiencies that you could clearly identify in our team in possession of the ball, right? The triangles are going to be made. You see players when they particularly, we'll get to the Guatemala game just now, because that was the game that we probably had the most space. We was allowed the most space to do things offensively. And unforced, playing the ball, passing balls into the opposition, where you had good supporting angle, you had options with the pass, but the pass was not, the quality of the pass wasn't good. Now, when we look at that, again, the players who we had, and again, this falls down to the player, but while we may think we have a better chance against teams like Guatemala or El Salvador, the players that we are playing against, they are playing week in, week out, right? The situation with the pandemic and players not playing or out of contract and so on, that was unique to us. All of these other teams, the players were playing competitive football for their clubs.
When you play outside, you guys are goalkeepers. When you play outside, I mean, when I say outside, I mean in the field. If you the playmaker or you one of the main guys, you can't make a play on every ball you get. So sometimes you take it and you give it.
Yeah.
And most of the other players who play the wrong, they know they don't have the ability to make a play, to make a game-changing, do something game-changing. So they play the wrong until it gets to the person.
Correct.
Right.
Who is that person?
Possession with purpose.
To make it happen, and that's what happens in the outside, in the field, and that's how we play. But I have to take a break now. When we come back, we will get into some more of those strategies, and like you guys said, you guys are hitting the nail on the head. But and we need to get back to the last game of the tournament. Viewers, we'll be right back after this short break.
We are not speaking only about special creative players like, for example, Eddie Messi, the Ronaldo, the latter piece. So and that is why we say we need special players about 3, 4, 5 special players in different areas of the park. So when we say special players, don't just take it as special offensive players.
Well,
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Okay, yeah, so I think you guys are hitting what I saw, hitting the nail on the head at every time as to what we saw. But the only thing I don't think we remember is we don't have those special players, man. And we need some special players. And otherwise, it's so difficult for the coach to come up with a plan without special people playing the game. So having said that, I'll let you guys get back into if you want to finish off on that second game or go into the third game.
I would, again, and I started on that special player, right? Because you're not going to go anywhere in football if you don't have special players, right? And to say that you don't need a special player, but you can play well. All those teams that are playing well without a special player are nowhere in world football. Yes, they play well, they make the tournament, and they're out in the first round, right? To go anywhere in football, you need a special player or 3 or 4 special players that can change the game. If you don't have someone that can put a stamp on the game at any team, not at the level of the Messis and the Ronaldos, right? Because even at times with the Messis and Ronaldos, they are out of their games because the opposing team puts strategies against them, and right, you see them out of a game completely and they have no major effect on the game. But as a country we are talking about, you have to find those, and you have to go all out in terms of far and wide in the rural areas, make sure that your football development, that's what the United States did to reach where they are. You know, United States, people are talking about the United States now as if they were always a powerhouse in football. United States did their work. They started camps all over the country. They found players. One important thing, they imported players. They naturalized persons to make them citizens. And that is a conversation that we must always, right, we also have to have, Steve, in terms of having Trinidad and Tobago. We always have a locally based squad. Yes, we have some players who were born elsewhere or something, but I'm speaking about players from the region, the St. Lucians, the Grenadians. Yes, they have their national team, but some of them are here and they play well in the Pro League, but they are not naturalized citizens and so on, which could add value. When Tubby Connection had a number of beautiful Brazilian
W
players.
Connection, man.
No, but I'm just making
all right, all right. W Connection again.
W Connection had a number of Brazilian players that ever represented their country. W Connection ruled for a period of time with these players. These players, you had Jefferson Goulart, a special player. A special player. You had Manuel, a special striker. And these, Earl Jar, you had Elijah Joseph, but Earl Jar and Elijah Joseph played for St. Lucia, so they would not have qualified.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Let's get to the third game.
Sure.
Right.
Let's get to the third game. So the third game, as again starting off that we have no special players, and the third game was similar to the second game. You saw nobody putting an influence on the game. He went out with a more attacking team in this game to try to get the win, which I thought should have been done in the second game as well. Right, Marcus Joseph is his name. He started. Molino came on, and we looked like if we were going for the win because we understood that if Mexico lost, we would have qualified. But that should have been done in the El Salvador game.
Right. Fantastic. Some good points there. And again, I want to bring the special player conversation as relates to the last game as well. All right. The person who, for us, plays the role of our special player. All right. Again, he's coming off injury, which is Molino. Right. He does add he does add something to us offensively when he's on. Right? Again, having to play the amount of games that he played in the period of time that he did, coming off an injury, you can see he was fading,
Struggling a little
right?
bit.
He was fading towards the end there. But the Guatemala game, for me, we did start having a lot of possession. We did start looking as though we were dominating them, right? Players had purpose, right, going forward. Rion Moore, I think he's somebody, he's raw, right? But I think he has some good potential. He has some nice aggression and so on. And we did exploit the space that we were afforded in that game, I think, quite effectively to the start. Didn't finish or didn't, some of the final pass and so on inside wasn't ideal to probably get a second or third goal and then kind of close the game out, right? The point about the special player, again, as I said, I disagree, because there are a lot of countries in the world that got success, and making the distinction between Greece, when they won the Euro,
They had special players.
No, sir. Not, we can call anybody special players, right? We can call anybody.
They had a player that changed the game with their influence.
Let me go through this.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You have the Greece, right? You have Denmark, right? No,
Denmark has Hazard. Denmark has players who can change the game.
Let me finish.
Or Denmark.
Yes,
right?
Denmark.
They had
Denmark. Right. All right. Yeah, they had that player. They had the license and whatever. But
correct.
we're talking about, we have to make a distinction, one, between club and country. A club can go and get this player from here, get that player from their country. That is the bunch of players that as a coach you have to work with, right? We mentioned the U.S. The U.S. now started to get players. The U.S. was one ordinary bunch of players who had some good technical abilities, and they put that team together to get results.
You had the Tab Ramoses on the U.S.
No special.
They were special because they had an influence on the game, Jeff.
All right, let me judge this. He's talking about world renown.
Yeah.
You're not talking about world renown.
No.
But that doesn't mean they're not special.
That they're not special.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So we can say we are special players too.
Name them.
Atula Guerra and them. You understand? You could put that. That's same Molino.
Well, Molino is.
Right.
Molino is a special player.
He is.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My argument is, you can disagree if you like, right? We seem to be wanting, and again, we keep going, we had to create a Latipi. You can't create no Latipi, right? Teach players the right things, teach players the game intelligence, and technical abilities, the ability to
I want to correct you. Nobody said you have to create a Latipi.
No, I've heard that.
No, I didn't say that, and it wasn't said on this program.
Right.
No, well, we say we want, when they say we want a Latipi, we want somebody creative.
Yeah,
not really Latipi.
Right.
But a creative player like Latipi was.
Again,
yes.
And those are the players that get you out of problems. There are players who obviously impact the game, and I'm not arguing that obviously.
Right.
That is the case. We need to work on the base. The rest of players, those players who are squad players, who Steve you talk about, who are going to keep possession of the ball and help to influence the game, that is what we have to bring up. Now, if you can bring up the standard of all the players on the field, when you have access to these special players, then they can actually impact the game more. But when you're depending on one or two players to get results for you.
Nobody said you're dependent on them, Jeff.
Let me finish my point.
Nobody said that you are dependent on them.
Let me finish
but you're using words that nobody said on the program.
Let me finish my point, because the viewers, I am making the point for the viewers, because something is coming out.
No, but you're saying things that are not said on the program. Nobody said you're
That's why I'm here.
No, right? You're not saying, nobody said that we need to depend on these players.
I am making my point.
Okay, go ahead, make it.
Go ahead.
All right?
Yeah.
The rest of the players, and that's what we're seeing in the game. The Guatemala game, right? We had Hashim, who's a good player. Again, he didn't play a lot, but he struggled. He struggled a lot, and in building the ball up, we lost the ball in our half 6 times in the first half, right? And again, with Guatemala giving us the room, we had the room to do that, and they weren't able to punish us either when we turn over possession. And I'm saying that is one of the risks, and that's why, for me, I looked at that and saw it as a justification for Angus using, even in the El Salvador game, the strategy that he did. Not too much to get too much of midfielders involved, like getting Molino in there, who would ask for the ball in the middle of the field, but getting the ball into the wide areas and trying to attack from those areas where, if it breaks down, you are less vulnerable to attack.
Steve, let me name some special players
Okay.
on our team right now so that Jeff can understand. Because I think he's only seen a special player as a creative player. David, the defender, right with the little ras. He's a special player. Energy, he could defend, he has speed, he could break down attacks. Hackshaw, special player. He's a good holding midfielder. If he has, right?
You just said Hackshaw was one of them players who, he's not a Molino.
He's not a Molino, but I'm showing you where he is. No, I'm showing you where he is special. I'm showing you where his speciality is.
Okay.
No, I'm showing you where his speciality is, that he can make
game changers, special players
correct.
and game changers.
So he's a ball winner.
Right.
He's not a playmaker where it is that he was. His speciality is in winning.
What you just said, because you just said Hackshaw.
Because he was used as a playmaker, somebody to make plays.
Yeah.
But his speciality is this defensive holding midfielder where he can break down attacks.
Right.
That is his speciality.
Okay.
Not in the role that he was used in the games. Molino, special player when he is fit and so on.
Let's break it down. Hackshaw is ball winner kind of special.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
Molino is attacking.
Creative.
Okay.
David, good special defender that he wins. He
Quality.
can quality player.
Of course, I
so
know.
when we speak about special players, we are not speaking only about special creative players like, for example, Eddie Messi, the Ronaldo, the Latapi. So and that is why we say we need special players, about 3, 4, 5 special players in different areas of the park. So when we say special players, don't just take it as special offensive players.
Well, that way we need 11 special players, Steve.
Well, you would not get 11 special players because
No, you can't.
you cannot get 11 special
What
players.
is he saying there?
No,
He's saying
that is not what I'm saying.
For the players, based on their functions, you need. That's what we're gonna get. From the goalkeeper, come straight up the road.
Right, let me tell you this, right? And if you want to understand what I'm saying, I'm right here. I'm saying that in their profession, in defenders,
Right.
you have someone who excels as a defender.
Right.
For example, we had, as you will know, an Elijah Joseph,
Right.
right? And Elijah Joseph could have won he could have played anywhere anywhere in the world. Special player, right? Because his speciality was defense, winning balls, winning headers, breaking down attacks. He had speed. So although we had everybody as good players, he could have changed the game by breaking down the opponent's attack.
Right.
We had Alatapi. He could have changed the game on his own. We have Molino, right? Let's not stop talking about Latapi. Molino can change the game on a dime by something special that he would have done, right? So we're not saying that we don't have special players then, right? What we're speaking about special players, we have to be, right? You know what spoils special players? They say, right, that they don't make special players. Yes, you do. This is why. Some coaches, you will see a player with skill, dribbling, so on and so forth, and they will try to curb that. Instead of teaching the player when to dribble, how to be effective dribbling, and that player can become special. You can imagine if they stopped Messi and told Messi, when he was a youth, 8, 9, stop that dribbling. Right? He running through the sides. I don't know if you have seen videos with... All right, so in terms of making the special player, by enhancing their skills, you make them special by proper coaching and proper nurturing.
So who's on the team now we can make that happen to, guys?
Again,
so to take you off of this.
You actually have the David, right? That's I love that.
Well, he's already in that category.
Right? You have Malik guy, the young guy that is coming up. You have his brother is playing.
Judah.
Judah. You have Judah, right?
Garcia. Yeah.
Who can become a special player. You have this guy who didn't make the squad. I don't know if his team then released him. Jones, Jovin.
Right.
Jovin is right. He's injured.
Yeah.
He's a special player. And if Jovin was there, you would have seen Jovin changing the game.
But I think we have some players we can work with. We have more.
Certainly.
More.
We can work with him as a goal scorer.
Correct.
I think that's the best we have right now, but we need to put in some work with him. He's a little rusty and green and stuff. Not rusty, but green. And he will get the experience, but I like his game
Correct.
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
And then in the midfield, of course, Molino didn't do his job because he wasn't fit, but there's another others. I mean, there's Williams, number 23.
Jesse Williams.
I like him as a defender,
Yeah.
a nice young player.
Yeah. Maybe some good boys.
So there's people like
Jelani
that.
Peters, that's on the back, a young guy who paired with
So we have some potential. It's just that we need to work it out.
And Angus is the guy to make
make it happen.
To make that happen.
And I mean, Angus tried to do the best he can. He played everybody get a chance to play so we can see them. Because I never know we have all of these players.
Yeah.
Now that Angus, I'm seeing them.
And that was one thing I admired too. You know, he trusts the players. You know, he give them the responsibilities and allow them to go out and show it. You know.
Right. Okay, so we have about a minute left. Some parting words on what you think.
Yeah, I think there is enough
make it go
here to have us, you know, positive. You know, if we are allowed to get in this instance, Angus even the job, I thought he did excellent in putting a marker down for the quality that we have as for local coaches.
Yeah.
Right, he made a great impact for local coaches, and I'd like to see that continue.
What do you think?
Yeah, I give Angus thumbs up in terms of keeping the job. I know what he can do. I know he has creative ideas, and I think overall, under the circumstances, the team performed remarkably well. So I hope none of these comments in terms of the areas of improvement would indicate that we are saying that the team didn't perform well. Under the circumstances, the team did remarkably well, and I give them thumbs up.
Yeah, I think we need to continue to support, and you know, the guys are gonna get better, of course, and we need to continue to support them, and hopefully we can change attitudes.
Yeah.
Attitude is what gets you where you want to be. Okay, so I want to thank you guys for being here. I'm sure the viewers would like to thank you as well and appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Viewers, thank you for tuning in every Monday, and we do repeat this show on a Tuesday and a Saturday at 1. ACTN, thanks for the opportunity. We have a Facebook page. You can check us out. We have an email address, fieldoftnt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. Good night.